Most people think exercise is one thing: sweating, effort, muscles pounding, heart pounding. But I want to propose that's one half of exercise, which I'm going to call yang exercise. What if yang exercise is only half of the story? What if real health requires two different kinds of workout, two different kinds of stress? Exercise is actually a weird idea. You go to the gym, you lift weights, you run, but you leave weaker than when you arrived. That's crazy, right? You deliberately weaken yourself because you know and trust that your body will rebuild stronger. We have a faith in our biology. We don't even question it. We know if we stress ourselves, our body will adapt, recover, even grow. This is what I'm going to call yang training. But here's the issue for most of us. We all assume that all exercise has to be the same way. It doesn't. Your body actually has two very different systems. At every joint, there are two major players. There is muscle and there is connective tissue. And they're very different in their qualities. Muscle is elastic. It likes movement and repetition and rhythm. It stretches and rebounds quickly. It adapts to shape change. This is yang tissue. But there's another system, connective tissue, fascia, ligaments, joint capsule, and actually deeper in your body, all your organs. And this is very different. It's slower, denser, less stretchy. It's plastic. It doesn't respond to bouncing. It creates structure and shape in our body. And if we want to work with it, it needs time. So this presentation a lot is about unlearning, especially assumptions about what exercise is, what is good for our bodies, what health is. Today, I'd like us to unlearn the idea that movement is one-dimensional. There's one right way of doing it. There's not. The overwhelming assumption is that exercise equals effort, sweating and intensity and muscular fatigue. Modern culture equates pretty much all exercise with effort. If we're not sweating or pushing, we assume it's not training. I want to call this a yang bias. It's a bias because it leaves something really critical out. There is a missing half. There's another system. Health in our body, particularly in movement in our body, requires two kinds of stress: yang stress and what I'm going to call yin stress. The body has these two different polarities of system. One requires movement, one requires stillness. One is elastic, one's plastic. If we only train one side, imbalance, health, even chronic injury, and certainly pain will be the result. Now hold on a minute. I'm using these words, yang and yin. What do they actually mean? Well, let's make it really simple. Really, it's about contrast. Black and white, up and down, left and right, good and bad, night and day. These are contrasting and comparing opposites to each other. You can't have night without day. You can't have up without down. You can't have white without black. So these two contrasting opposites require each other. They are in relationship with each other. This is not a mystical concept. Really, if you think about computing nowadays, all software is written in terms of ones and zeros, two opposites which simply define each other. The body is the same. We have these two opposites. There is yin in the body, there is yang in the body. There are yin tissues in the body and yang tissues in the body. They are very different. One is structural, one is elastic, one is plastic, one is stretchy. Let's have a look. Yeah, literally. At the joints in our body, and joints are really the most important places in our body which allow us to move as we age. It's not just about being strong, it's about being able to move. And being able to move has these two types of tissue. There are literally tissues which are like a plastic bag, and there are literally tissues which are like elastic bands. So when we think about movement, I want us to think in terms of these two targets or two reasons while we're exercising. Yang tissue or muscle is elastic. It's fast adapting. It loves repetition like elastic band. You can stretch it, contract it, stretch it, contract it, stretch it, contract it. Muscle is like this. It thrives on movement. It likes to be warm and stretchy. It responds to rhythm and load. This is yang tissue. Then there's yin tissue in your body. Let's think of it like a plastic bag. It keeps the shape of you. This is made up by stuff called connective tissue or fascia, but it's also your bones. This stuff is slow adapting. It's dense. It doesn't respond to sustained load. You don't want it to change shape when you eat more food. You want to keep the shape of you over a long time. There are a lot of tissues in the body like this, but around joints, it's ligaments, your joint capsules. These keep the structure of your joints. These tissues adapt through duration, and they keep the structure of your bones together. But if they get injured, or if you don't work with them at all, you've got to work with these in a very different way. So let's define yang exercise, which targets the elastic stuff in our body. It's movement and repetition, or rhythm and repetition, and a lot of heat. Think of any game here like padel. The ball bounces, you hit. The ball bounces, you hit. The ball bounces, you hit. There's a rhythm. Bounce, hit, bounce, hit, bounce, hit. In fact, this idea of rhythm and repetition is the same in all yang workouts. Think of vinyasa yoga or a gym workout. They always play music in there. Boom, 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 boom. A beat. Because movement, which is yang, is rhythm and repetition. Rhythm and repetition. This stimulates the elastic muscles in your body and gives them a great workout, and we feel good. And if we have a big workout, we get tired, and we like that too. Yin exercise is very different. It's still, and we hold stuff for time. We also relax the muscles. We allow the muscles to stretch. Yin exercise deliberately transfers load deeper. Muscles can't stretch forever. So once they get to their max, you actually begin to stress tissues around joints and in your body, which are deeper. This is not collapsing. It's actually very intelligent movement. We need a new theory of exercise. Just like these buds of a plant coming out of the ground and being stimulated by the sunshine, our body adapts to how we treat it. When we train muscle, we make it stronger. The stress, just like the sun, which makes the plant stronger, makes the muscle stronger. But this very simple principle of stress and adaptation for growth applies beyond muscle. There are other structures in the body that we can work with. Our body is different from a Pirelli tire. Our body is living tissue. Living tissues regenerate and grow stronger under the right amount of stress. Inanimate objects, like the tire, don't. They break down. If you ever watch Formula One or have a car, you know you need your tires replacing every couple of laps or every couple of years. Living tissue isn't like this. It remodels. This is the difference between living tissue and non-living tissue. And getting it just right is critical here. You cannot do enough, which is what most people do for their yin tissue, but you can also do too much. Many people in yoga and gymnastics and other very bendy pursuits stretch stuff too much. So there's a sweet spot between these. Too little and you have degeneration. Too much and you have an injury. But in the place in the middle, there's an appropriate amount of yin or yang exercise, and that's where health happens. This sweet spot principle matters for every tissue in the body. Think about astronauts. When they go out into space for a few weeks or a few months, their bones lose density. Even their bones, these structural tissues that we think barely change throughout our whole life, that's not actually true. They need the right amount of stress. In bones' case, this is gravity. No outside stimulation forcing them to keep their density and their weight. They slowly become less strong, less robust. We have a simple saying in English that we can use to cover all of this and all these ideas. Use it or lose it. The body's not fragile, but if it doesn't need stuff, it just gets rid of them, like bone density or muscle mass. It adapts. If we use our body intelligently in just the right way, it adapts and keeps us healthy, keeps us strong, or in the case of bones, the ultimate yin tissues, keeps them dense. So this rule, just enough stress and stimulation, is perfect health. Not enough, you're injured. Too much, you get degeneration. This applies to muscles, it applies to joints, it applies to bones. So not every tissue needs fast, explosive, dynamic, stretchy stuff. Some tissues need slow, sustained load. Chinese medicine and the Daoist philosophy provide the foundational ideas for many things in yin. And they say that qi needs to flow through the body. And we can intelligently guide qi through our body by how we move. Do we do it more powerfully, rhythm and repetition? Or do we do it in a yin way, slow yin stress? We all know why we exercise in a yang way, because it makes us stronger, increases our metabolism, helps our mood. There's lots of research about longevity and how it keeps us healthy as long as possible. Yang, rhythm and repetition muscle training is widely accepted. What I want you to have a think about today is that our yin tissues, our joints, our ligaments, our tendons follow these same natural laws. They also need to follow the theory of exercise. If you stress them too much, they injure. If you don't stress them enough, they atrophy. Living in Europe, when I'm recording this, I see this in so many older people who have very, very limited range of motion of movement because they haven't exercised at all or have exercised only in a yang way. Ligaments and joints aren't inert. Remember the idea of the astronauts. In our modern yang exercise bias, we protect joints from load, which is correct in yang exercise. But it's not the whole picture. I treat so many people in my acupuncture clinic who have bad backs, and they are very fit from a modern exercise point of view. Wonderful biodynamics, wonderful cardiovascular health, but they have bad backs or back shoulders or bad hips. because they're not doing any yin exercise. They're never exposing their joints to the right type of movement. And these two are yang stimulation and yin stimulation, or yang exercise and yin exercise. Yang exercise for your muscles is fast, explosive, rhythm and repetition. Get the elastic band stretching. Yin exercise is slow, sustained, modest stress, relaxing the muscles and going into the deeper tissues. These are different stresses for different parts of the body. Now, if I let you reflect on this for a moment, actually, yin is everywhere in the world. Let me give you a strange example. Braces or orthodontic treatment. You wouldn't, if you wanted to move your teeth, wiggle your teeth backwards and forwards. You wouldn't go to the dentist, ask them to grab one and wiggle it till it gets into the right position. Wiggle, rhythm, and repetition. No. Orthodontic treatment or braces is applying gentle pressure with something like this mouth guard for months. And with this gentle pressure, the bones, the teeth, remodel, they move. This is a yin modality. We've just never thought of it that way. We accept it in orthodontics. But when someone says, oh, I can help you with your back with yin movement, people panic and say, oh, I've never done that before. My doctor told me not to do that. This is so curious. The message I want to get to you here is that yin modality is not sissy yang for those people who can't be bothered or are too lazy or not big enough to do exercise. Yin is not just easy exercise. It's not weak yang. It's a completely different biological strategy. Too many sports people move constantly, but they don't load and deeply stretch their connective tissue. The most obvious and probably unfair example is bodybuilders. They have huge yang muscle strength, but they often ignore their joint adaptation and later in life can really suffer in their bones and joints. They wonder why things ache. Yin modality would actually lengthen their careers, reduce pain, and increase functionality and training, because they've trained the tissue that pretty much everyone else ignores. You need both to train your yin tissues and your yang tissues. Movement for muscle, stillness for structure, yang movement for your elasticity and strength, yin for durability and deep tissue health. You only need to think of a really painful example to get this idea across. If you break your arm or elbow and put your elbow in a sling for, say, 4 weeks to 6 weeks, sure, your elbow or your arm will recover, but often you will get a frozen shoulder while you do that. The shoulder can't move anymore. Why? Because it hasn't moved for 4 or 6 weeks. Now take this idea and extrapolate it to someone who doesn't move for 4 or 6 years or 40 or 60 years. Now their whole body is going to be stiff and dry and really isn't going to feel too good at all. The message I want to get to you today is that yin and yang exercise are both important. They are both exercise. Yang builds muscular strength and capacity. Yin builds movement capacity. Elasticity without durability fails. Durability without strength stagnates. We need both. A healthy body is strong and has deep tissue range of motion ability. And if that's not enough for you, being in yin mode for 30 minutes or 60 minutes teaches patience, teaches quiet, cultivates resilience. That's a whole other story. I'm Dougal, yoga educator, anatomist, Chinese medicine practitioner, Now you've begun to understand what yin, the other half of exercise, is and how this compares to yang. Why your joints need exercise. Why stillness isn't laziness, it's intelligent workout. Why movement alone, sweating and huffing and puffing is incomplete. And why a yin workout isn't sissy.